Good afternoon, Jets Nation. Welcome to the Juju Jets Show. And today we're going to be talking about the pros and the cons of re-signing Bryce Huff. Starting off with the pros, Bryce Huff is one of the most efficient pass rushers in the NFL. These past 2 years, Bryce Huff has had one of the highest pass rush win rates in the entire league, actually leading the NFL in pass rush win rate in 2022 and having one of the highest in 2023. On top of that, he puts up really good sack numbers. This past year for the Jets, he had 10.5 sacks, which is a career high for Bryce Huff. He also was the first Jet since John Abraham in 2005 to have double-digit sacks in a season. So for the Jets to go 20 years, almost 20 years without a double-digit sack edge rusher, and to have the one guy finally break that curse, walk in free agency the next season, definitely would be disappointed. On top of that, Bryce Huff is a homegrown player. He was an undrafted free agent signed by the New York Jets in 2020, and the Jets have developed him into the player he is today for the past 4 years. And it would just suck for the New York Jets to have him walk in free agency for absolutely nothing. I will say, though, Joe Douglas has done a good job at re-signing the Jets' homegrown players. I know Joe Douglas didn't draft Quentin Williams, but he definitely was a homegrown talent by the New York Jets, and he did a great job at extending him. And you look at all the waiver wire pickups Joe Douglas has had. John Franklin Myers, Quincy Williams, Braxton Berrios, all three of them signed second contracts with the New York Jets. So Joe Douglas seems to do a good job of re-signing these homegrown players, especially some of his under-the-radar pickups, with Bryce Huff being one of them. So it sounds like Joe Douglas really wants to re-sign Bryce Huff. His track record sounds like he will, but who knows if the deal is actually going to be done. But as for what the cons are of re-signing Bryce Huff, well, a lot of people are going to sit here and point at his run defense, but whenever Bryce Huff is the pass rusher he is, I definitely don't think you can look at his run defense as too much on a knock on him just because of how great he is as a pass rusher. A lot of people also are going to point and talk about his contract saying, well, the Jets are going to be giving him way too much money. That's a contract the Jets don't need to be paying. But if you want to have one of the top edge rushers in the NFL play for you, you're going to have to give them a ton of money. And if it means giving Bryce Huff close to $20 million a year, it means we're going to have to give him $20 million a year, especially if you want to continue to see him having 10-plus sack seasons for the New York Jets in the future. But my only really con of re-signing Bryce Huff is what it means to Will McDonald. Because this offseason, Will McDonald is going to be training with Jermaine Johnson. He's going to be following the same blueprint Johnson used after his first year in the NFL. He's also potentially going to be bulking up to around 255 pounds. Will McDonald is going to be putting in that work this offseason. He's going to try to develop into a better player, try to develop into the player Jermaine Johnson was in his second year in the NFL. And it would suck if Will McDonald does end up developing like Jermaine Johnson does, turn into this great player, but we only get to see a glimpse of that just because he doesn't have a role carved out for him on this team, because guys like Bryce Huff, Jermaine Johnson, and John Franklin Myers are ahead of him on the depth chart. I would hate for Will McDonald to develop into this great player, but we really don't get to see it. Or better yet, have Will McDonald develop into a player even better than Bryce Huff, have Will McDonald play more snaps than Huff in 2024, and we don't really see Huff on the field all that much, especially after we paid him all this money, close to potentially $20 million a year. I know it's a good problem for the New York Jets to have on their hands, but you want to have your best players out there. I know the Jets like to have their rotation at edge and whatnot, but having Will McDonald, potentially at the same level as Jermaine Johnson, only playing around 25% of the snaps, just isn't ideal. So if you do re-sign Bryce Huff, Will McDonald's role definitely just becomes interesting. And that's really my only con when it comes to re-signing Bryce Huff. But nonetheless, what are you guys' pros and cons of re-signing Bryce Huff? Let me know down below. Do you want the Jets to re-sign Bryce Huff? Also, let me know down below. But I'm your Jets signing off for now. See you guys later. Peace.